Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is D-Day for Delhi's Chief Minister. The Supreme Court will decide whether he walks out on interim bail and enters the poll arena. But the Enforcement Directorate is in no mood to make it easy for Mr. Kejriwal. Today, a day before the Supreme Court is to put out its verdict, the ED has opposed his bail plea in the top court, saying that the right to campaign for an election is neither a fundamental right nor a constitutional right. It has also argued that if bail is granted to the Delhi Chief Minister on grounds of elections, it will set a wrong precedent. The Enforcement Directorate said that if Mr. Kejriwal is granted bail for election campaigning, then no politician can ever be arrested and kept in judicial custody, since elections take place in India all year round. Essentially, the ED is saying that it would give a green signal to all unscrupulous netas to commit all sorts of crimes and then roam free in the garb of elections. Now, the central agency has also claimed that the bail to Mr. Kejriwal will create two classes in society. One that comprises the Aam Aadmi, you and me, those who are bound by the law, and another for politicians who can seek exemptions from these laws by securing bail in the garb of poll campaigns. Arguing that politicians cannot claim for a higher status than the Aam Aadmi, the agency used the Supreme Court's George Fernandez example against Mr. Kejriwal and said that leaders in the past have contested and won elections while being in judicial custody. The Supreme Court in the last hearing had said as much. Then why treat Mr. Kejriwal differently? That's not it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Enforcement Directorate is going the extra mile to see that Mr. Kejriwal does not walk out of jail tomorrow. As it files its charge sheet against K. Kavita, it will also file its first charge sheet against Arvind Kejriwal, where he will be named as the kingpin of the alleged Liqourgate scam. Now, you can ask me what is new. The ED has already issued a press release some time ago calling him the kingpin in the scam. But what is new is that this will be the first time that a charge sheet is being filed against Mr. Kejriwal and will name him officially as the kingpin of the alleged Liqourgate. The Aam Aadmi Party, as expected, has hit back at the Enforcement Directorate, saying this isn't an ED charge sheet, but a BJP charge sheet. My guests this evening, let me quickly introduce them to you. Karan Verma is an author. Parvinder Singh Sethi is a political analyst, and Sanjay Hegde is a senior advocate who is joining us on the broadcast. Gentlemen, this is a quick, short debate. Sanjay Hegde, I'm going to start with you. Some compelling arguments by the Enforcement Directorate. You can say, why are they waking up last minute? Tomorrow the Supreme Court is going to give its verdict. Today they are filing an affidavit and opposing the bail in the Supreme Court. But compelling arguments, sir. Why treat Mr. Kejriwal differently? Campaigning in an election is not a constitutional right. It's not a fundamental right.
Well, Shreya, just give me some latitude out here. Tomorrow, I would say, is an important day for the Supreme Court. Justice Sanjiv Khanna will be taking a call in courtroom number 2, which is dominated by a portrait of Justice H.R. Khanna, who gave a judgment and lost his Chief Justiceship. He gave a judgment during the emergency. Now, the same Justice H.R. Khanna once told another newly appointed judge that 99.9% of all decisions, almost every judge can take. There is that occasional case where you are called upon to take a stand. Now, tomorrow the court really is deciding whether an election with a principal opposition party leader being jailed and not allowed to campaign is a free and fair election. Everything else is mere noise. Why, if you say, why should a politician get out? Equally well, you can ask the ED, were you sleeping for 2 years? That you came out now with its charge, with all these things? You can equally well ask the ED, what heavens will fall if he comes out, campaigns till the end of the elections. And thereafter, the court takes a call on the main matter. It is not as if the main matter is without merit. The court has been deeply troubled by the questions in the main petition. The main petition says that the arrest itself was illegal. So, and Kejriwal has not yet asked for bail. This is not an ordinary consideration of bail. This is something which has deep meaning for free and fair elections and where we are as a republic. Justice H.R. Khanna's portrait
Sanjay Hegde,
hangs in court too. Just 1 minute. Justice H.R. Khanna's portrait hangs in court too. The man who replaced him was Chief Justice Beg. We don't see his portrait anywhere.
Sanjay Hegde, what you're telling us tonight is something important. You're saying the Supreme Court will not be delivering a verdict tomorrow. It will be taking a stand. And I think you have explained what you're saying very well to our viewers here. But when the Enforcement Directorate says that campaigning for an election is not a constitutional or a fundamental right, are they wrong? When they say that George Fernandes, whose case the Supreme Court cited in the last hearing, that George Fernandes was in jail, he stayed in jail and he won. So if George Fernandes can stay in jail and still win his election, why can't Mr. Kejriwal? I mean, these are the arguments that were made in court. Well, are they wrong? Are they flawed?
George Fernandes was in jail during the emergency. Is the ED saying that we are under an emergency now? Is the ED saying that the courts have no power to look into the fundamental rights of citizens? What is all this? If our democracy rests on free and fair elections, can you say that your elections are free and fair if you can lock up your opponents? That's the question. I don't see any other question.
Okay. Important, as I said, you're saying the Supreme Court will be taking a stand tomorrow. Karan Verma, respond to what Sanjay Hegde is saying. Why keep a chief minister who's the main face and the main campaigner for his party inside jail when there is an election playing out?
You mean to say that the chief minister can get away with anything and he should not be jailed because we want to have fair elections? Your idea or the advocate's idea of fair elections. I mean, are we kidding ourselves? Here is a man who the Delhi High Court has said that prima facie he has conspired and concealed the proceeds of crime. And what has Justice Datta said while hearing the interim bail? Let me just quote. If elections were not there, there would be no question of bail. Meaning, on the merits, he doesn't get a bail from the courts. Just because there is an election and he wants to further his political career, we should give him a bail so that he can campaign. I mean, tomorrow if a farmer says, I have the harvest season coming up, and please, it's very important, it's a once in a lifetime work, I want a bail. Would you give every under trial person a bail? Would you give a corrupt businessman also some bail because he wants to attend a board meeting? Where are we heading in the name of free and fair elections? Why the hell did he do what he did? If he was so concerned about free and fair elections, why did he perpetrate this crime?
What has he done?
And at least this alleged crime, which prima facie looks to
has it been proven?
Looks to, as per the Delhi High Court. So, let's not trivialize this, Shreya. I'm really against
and
trivializing
the Supreme Court of this can.
Just because there are elections, extrapolating into
Supreme
free
Court
and
of
fair
India has
elections,
asked the ED, where is the recovery?
He should not be the CM.
So he's not been convicted. So he's not been convicted. So why are you saying? So why are you saying that can a chief minister get away with anything because he's chief minister? Arey bhai, conviction kahan hai? Recovery kahan hai? Supreme Court is asking these questions, not me.
So the courts have said no bail if there were no elections.
Because
so why
in this country, bail, no, because in this country,
I'm reading
bail is the rule and jail is the exception.
If there were no elections, why should we give him bail then? Merits पे इसको bail मिल नहीं रही है. Why should we make an exception just because there are elections? I mean, this is ridiculous. एक आदमी काम कर रहा है गलत. The Delhi High Court is saying prima facie it looks okay. Justice Datta is saying there is no question of bail and we want free and fair elections. We don't want such elections where a convict or an alleged person is getting bail to campaign and further his political career. He cannot continue as CM also. I mean, do as official duties as CM. That Justice Datta is very clear about. You can't sign files. Just because you want to campaign, you should be getting
No,
interim
sir,
relief.
you will selectively quote the Delhi High Court, but not listen to what the Supreme Court is saying. You'll
What has the
selectively
Supreme
quote the
Court
Delhi
said?
High Court, but not hear what the Supreme Court is saying. The
What
Supreme
has
Court
it
is
said?
asking you, 2 साल क्यों लगाए, 2 साल क्यों बैठे हुए थे?
बिल्कुल बताता हूं मैं 2 साल
In the
क्यों
last
लगा।
hearing, the Supreme Court
I'm
has
telling
said,
you why 2 साल लगाए।
what have you been doing for 2 years?
Yeah,
एक
let
minute,
me
एक minute.
answer.
They have also said, where is the recovery? I just want to get in. Give me a minute, Karan. I just want. You have raised some interesting points. Give me a minute. Give me a minute.
Let me answer this.
Karan,
No,
एक minute. You have raised some very interesting points. Can I? अरे रुक जाओ. I'll come to you. You have made some very interesting points. अरे सुन तो रो, तारीफ कर रही हूँ तुम्हारी. You have made some interesting points. I just want Sanjay Hegde to quickly respond to them. Sanjay Hegde, you've heard Karan Verma. Yeah, if you could take 25 seconds to respond to what he's saying.
Very quickly. This is not a bail application because Kejriwal has not filed a bail application. Kejriwal has said, my arrest is illegal. My arrest is primarily to keep me out of the elections. It has political consequences. Now, if the court, which is charged with being the custodian of the Constitution, cannot ensure free and fair elections, then there are several other questions that arise. We are not Pakistan. We are not Pakistan where Imran Khan was kept in jail and is still in jail, and elections have happened, and then governments have been formed. We are not yet Pakistan. Do we want to go there?
Karan, 20 seconds and then I'll go to Mr. Sethi.
Yeah, is it for me? I just lost your audio. Is it for me?
Yep. Yes, Karan, it's
Yeah. No, Shreya, this is ridiculous again. I mean, the Delhi High Court said it in very clear terms that it has nothing to do with politics and they're not bothered about politics. I mean, I should not be telling the honorable advocate here that the courts have nothing to do who is being funding who and who is standing against whom. That is none of the court's business. On the merits of the case, this arrest has been upheld. The procedure of the ED has been upheld. And now he's only being considered for interim bail because he wants to further his political career. Don't wear this garb of free and fair elections, please. Don't stand on this moral high ground that we want free and fair elections. Itna agar free and fair ka tha, you should not have gone ahead with this policy where you've caused a loss of 2,000 crores minimum to the exchequer. So, you know, they have no business claiming this high moral ground today. In fact, it's going to set a very wrong precedent.
They didn't go ahead with the policy, na? The policy was rolled back.
In the last 5 years,
it was scrapped.
23 elections. Imagine if you were to send out a person, give interim bails to every person. Around the year, you cannot hold a person in judicial custody. I mean, what precedent are we looking at? I'm amazed that this is even being discussed, to be honest.
Parvinder ji, why will it not be discussed? It will be discussed today and tomorrow as well because there's a good chance, well, we don't know, I don't want to second guess the Supreme Court, but there's a good chance that the Supreme Court may give Mr. Kejriwal bail, but with some caveats and some conditions that will apply. Parvinder ji, आप ये क्यों बोल रहे हैं ये चार्जशीट जो कल आने वाली है ये ईडी की चार्जशीट नहीं बीजेपी की चार्जशीट है अरे भाई ईडी केस को इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रहा है वो अपनी चार्जशीट तो डालेगा ना सिंस मिस्टर केजरीवाल इज अंडर अरेस्ट अपना काम तो करेगा उनका काम ही है बेल रोकना उनका काम ही है एविडेंस लाना सो दैट दे कैन कीप हिम इन जेल
नहीं बिल्कुल देखिए हेगड़े साहब ने बड़ी डिटेल में समझाया लेकिन करण वर्मा जी बड़े इलॉजिकल लॉजिक्स दे रहे थे मैं बड़ा हैरान हूं लेकिन जब उनको अरेस्ट किया गया वो आरोपी हैं वो उनके ऊपर कोई आरोप सिद्ध नहीं हुआ है और उनको इंटरोगेशन के लिए इन्वेस्टिगेशन के लिए पूछताछ के लिए अरेस्ट किया गया था और उनकी पूछताछ पूरी हो गई तो उनको बेल मिलनी चाहिए करोड़ों लोगों के सेंटिमेंट्स हैं कितनी बड़ी पार्टी के कन्वीनर हैं ये भी एक लॉजिक है लेकिन सिर्फ ये लॉजिक नहीं है 2 साल से आप एक केस को कर रहे हैं ना आपके पास किसी तरह की पैसे की रिकवरी है ना आपके पास कोई प्रूफ है लेकिन जो कानून का कोर्स है वो चलता रहेगा अगर वो बेल पे मेरे को पूरी उम्मीद है कि अगर ये हाई कोर्ट होता तो कभी बेल नहीं मिलती क्योंकि बीजेपी का इन्फ्लुएंस होता लेकिन ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट है सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कई ऐतिहासिक फैसले करे हैं और जनता ने देखा है देश की जनता ने कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने चाहे ट्रांसफर पोस्टिंग का फैसला हो चाहे खिलाड़ियों की एफआईआर का हो चाहे इस तरह के फैसले किए हैं जो सरकार के खिलाफ जाते थे और इस केस के अंदर भी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा है कि हम आपको कंडीशनल बेल देंगे अगर आप एज ए सीएम अपने ऑपरेट नहीं करेंगे सरकारी गतिविधि, अगर केजरीवाल जी इसको एक्सेप्ट कर लेते हैं तो मुझे लगता है कि उनकी 100% बेल कल हो जाएगी और जो बीजेपी और ईडी के जो अफसर हैं उनकी नौकरी स्ट्राइक पे लगी हुई है भी किसी भी हालत पर उनकी बेल नहीं होनी चाहिए। जी
चलिए देखते हैं कल क्या होता है। We'll leave it there because I'm fairly certain all three of you will be back. Karan, you're out of time, but I'm fairly certain all three of you will be back tomorrow on the panel at the top of 8 p.m. So Karan Verma, thank you very much. Mr. Sethi, thank you very much. And Sanjay Hegde, thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I'm slipping into a quick break on the show. Coming up next, the Minority Report, which is now being called the Hindu-Muslim Report. That's up next. Its timing is being questioned after a break.